All right, we're back with another episode of What's Hockey. We're going to jump in, as we always do, into around that hockey. We're going to touch on the tight playoff race that we got going on, but we're also going to talk about individual performances as the season wraps up. Keaton, you want to go ahead and fill us in on some goal leaders, points leaders, rookie of the year stuff?
Yeah, so it looks like as of right now, the point leader, it's tied for the first place is Nikita Kucherov and Nathan McKinnon. Close third is Connor McDavid with 126. So, I mean, it's a pretty tough race. We'll see who's going to be the actual point leader at the end of the season. And for goals, specifically, it's Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's playing really well, 62 goals out of, what was it, 73 games or 74. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Let me
Either
pull
way.
it. 73
Um,
goal. Sorry, 73 games, 62 goals.
Nice, yeah. So I mean that's pretty great, but definitely not touching any of the top goalies or goal scorers of the season.
No,
Not
like
anytime soon.
no historical records will be broken this year. I mean,
It will not happen.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Wayne Gretzky scoring 92 goals in a single season, played 80 games.
Insane.
That is ridiculous, man. A goal a game
Yeah, that
plus.
was like 40 years ago. So like, yeah,
Yeah, and then on top of that, he goes ahead and drops 120 assists. Dude, how does anyone have
insane.
212 points in a season? Mind you, that one the best he ever did because the record for that is 215 points in a season. Also, of course,
What
done
a
by
beast.
Wayne Gretzky. 10 of the top 11 all-time points in a single season is held by Wayne Gretzky. That's dominance, man. And
Wayne
then
Goatsky.
and so we have you said Kucherov and McKinnon tied at 127.
Yeah. So that's like almost 90 off. So
Yeah, I mean the number 50 spot on that record board is 130, also held by
nice.
Wayne Gretzky. And so I mean they could crack the top 50. They probably should with about 7 games to go. But dude, no record's gonna be. I don't know if those records will ever be
Yeah.
broken. The goal one is insane. I mean, last season Connor McDavid dropped 64 in 82 games, which fantastic, but not even
Mhm.
close. So 30 more goals required, man. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean,
Um, yeah, and then okay, we can
insane.
talk about some awards. What you got on that?
Yeah, I mean, Connor Bedard got the Rookie of the Month, but I mean, you might as well just call him Rookie of the Year because he's just playing well and doesn't really look like there's any other rookies that are playing on his level. But yeah, pretty crazy stats as we wrap up the year so far, and looking like the Eastern Conference playoff race for the last wild card spot is hot. We've got the
Dude,
Flyers, the Capitals, the Red Wings, and the Islanders, maybe even the Penguins fighting for that spot. So we're all just
yeah.
kind of like hoping to win some games, Red Wings included. So hopefully we can fight off
Well,
because, I mean, the Red Wings aren't going to be fighting for the top spot because the Lightning are there, as well as the Maple Leafs and the
yeah.
Panthers
Well,
and the Bruins.
the
So
thing
it's a pretty
is,
tough division.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the it's a tough conference, really. But in that individual
Yeah.
division right there, yeah, the Lightning are the odd man out. It seems they're not going to crack the top three of what's that? The Atlantic that the Lightning, yeah, yeah, they're the
Yeah.
Atlantic. And with the Maple Leafs having 6 more points than them, it's going to be pretty tough to make up in that time period. So the Lightning are pretty much penciled in, about to be like an ink penned in as the first wild card seed. And so now it's a battle between y'all, the Capitals, who I remember last week we were talking about how okay, it looks like the
They're on a
Capitals
hot
have
streak.
pretty much they're on a hot streak. They just beat y'all in overtime. It looks like it's theirs for the taking, and it looks like it's theirs for the dropping right now as they went ahead and dropped multiple games in a row. They lose to the Capital, or I'm sorry, they lose to the Maple Leafs right after y'all. They lose to the Bruins. They lose to the Sabres. So of a potential 6 points they could
Yeah,
have
that's a
gained,
tough loss.
they walk out with zero. And then against y'all, yes, they do beat you, but it was an OT loss, so you do take one of those points away. And so in the meantime, y'all went ahead and you lose to the Hurricanes, you lose to the Panthers, but that goes to a shootout, so you pick up a point there. And then y'all go ahead and beat the Lightning. And so you get 2 more points there. So of your potential 6 points, you get three. Nothing wrong with that. And so, man, y'all definitely have a good chance. A good chance. Y'all are in it, man. Y'all got a fighter's chance. It's almost like you control your destiny. Not technically, because the Capitals, I believe, have the goal advantage on y'all. Oh no, well you have a better goal different. No, yeah, you're killing them on that. Oh, they have one more game played. That's why they're ahead of you.
Yeah.
So they still like hold their destiny, but boy, they got some shaky hands. They look like they're dropping it, man. So y'all definitely have a chance there. I know the Islanders are right behind y'all, 1 point behind y'all in the exact same amount of games played. That's going to be real tight. And the Penguins are 2 points behind the Islanders. That's a team that tanked at the deadline, getting rid of Genzel. I don't know, man. It almost feels like when they're playing, some teams just aren't taking them seriously, so they're picking up a few points. But which you can't do in the National Hockey League. You got to play every game serious. But I really
they beat the Devils last night.
Yeah, but the Devils aren't
6-3
that great either.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they've got the Hughes brothers. They're pretty solid.
Sure. I mean, but I would definitely think that race comes down.
Didn't they beat the Stars at one point?
They did.
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's the National Hockey League. You got to take everyone seriously. That's exactly right. But I would imagine that it does come down between you, the Red Wings, the Capitals, and the Islanders. And so, dude,
the Flyers.
The Flyers. How far back are they?
The Flyers are in the third spot.
Oh, you're saying the Flyers dropping?
But they have one game played more, and they most likely will drop out because they're tied with the Capitals, or maybe have one point.
Yeah, you're completely right, dude. My God, these last the Flyers have 6 games, y'all have 7, and the Capitals have 8. This last stretch, man, and I feel like we've been saying it the last 2 episodes that it's wild, It's crazy, it's going down to the wire, but this really feels like every game is playoff atmosphere. You're fighting for, the playoff berth, but you're fighting for your life right now. It's entertaining hockey. It's good to watch. Hopefully y'all get some more puss thrown onto the ice, some celebratory puss, not sad puss.
Yeah, dude.
Man, no, it's a great series over there.
Yeah, and speaking of playoff atmosphere, I know we really didn't do anything against the Hurricanes, but against the Panthers, we played pretty well. We forced them into overtime and even got into a shootout. Could have won, but it was some lazy puck handling on the shooter's part. I'm not gonna lie, but either way, it was pretty crazy. We could have won that game too because there was some mishandling in front of the goalie. I want to say it was Mo Seider, but he knocked the puck into the goalie or the goal itself. He was trying to pass it to Lyon, but I think there was some interference and it got just knocked off just a tad and it just slid into the goal unbeknownst to Lyon. And it was just really frustrating because it was just a self-goal. I mean, that shouldn't happen. But we played really well. We were able to tie it up right after that and get into overtime and try to win, but ended up losing. At least we took that point. But, we did sweep the Lightning for the year. We beat them all 3 times. I think we only played them 3 times, but each time we're doing really well. And, I mean, like Rudy mentioned, we're killing it in the differential. Killing it. I mean, we're at least positive. There's a lot of negative teams out there. So, hopefully we can make that playoff push because we got the Rangers next and then the Sabres we should hopefully win. And then the Capitals right up next. So, that should be a really good game to watch. I believe it's on Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday. But
yeah, and I mean, that differential really does matter. I mean, as far as even outside of like what it means for playoff implications, to me it really indicates who day in day out is competing in games, isn't getting blown out, and then they have a fluky 3-2 win, just a one goal victory. I mean, it shows that y'all are attacking. Y'all are attacking. We've talked about potential defensive let-offs, but y'all score goals, man, and so it's a big indicator of teams that I think can compete versus teams that are winning, but they're kind of lucky. For a football reference, if you'll remember the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years ago, they were like 7-0, 8-0, maybe even better than that, but they're winning games like 13-7. And you knew when that team made the playoffs, it wasn't going anywhere. And so, it to me indicates a team that's just dominant. And yeah, sure, you've had a few losses there, but they've been tight ones. You've gone to OTs, you've gone to shootouts, and shootouts against a good team in the Florida Panthers. So, I mean, I think you stand a good chance. You do. The Flyers, of course, are going to, because the Flyers have an extra point on you. They also do have one more game on you, though. They could, pose an obstacle for your playoff berth, but and they also have a they're minus 17 on their goal difference. So I tend to hedge my bets for the teams with the better goal difference, regardless of one team having one game in hand, another one having played one last game, but one more point than you. I tend to go towards the goal difference.
Well, because Philly's negative 17 and the Capitals are negative 35. We're the only plus. Well, I guess the Penguins are now +1. But outside of them, we're like the only positive, at least in the playoff contention. We're the only like positive teams. So it really makes sense that the Flyers and the Capitals will battle it out for that third position, and then we'll probably take that last wildcard spot depending on what happens. But hopefully the Flyers flunk out and we'll be able to get that taken care of.
100%. And then on the other side, on the other conference, we had mentioned how we expected the Kings to drop out of that guaranteed third spot and then drop into the wild card, and they've done exactly that. The Vegas Knights have stepped up. I mean, they improved during the trade deadline, and the improvements are showing. Hannafin has been a really good addition on their defense. And then you look at what the Kings have done, and we talked about this, that they didn't improve their team.
They didn't do anything
They did nothing, and then they were sliding. I mean, we talked about it after they lose to the Stars. We've talked about it after they've had multiple losses.
I think the only bonus they might have had during the season is firing their coach potentially. But I mean, even then they were like still third in maybe fourth in their division when that even happened. So it was like, I mean, yeah, you want to win games a lot, but I mean, it could have been better to just have that stability.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, we've also talked about the boost you get when you bring in the new manager, the new coach. And we've seen the benefit that it's had on Edmonton. Edmonton right now is second in their division.
100%.
And when they fired their head coach, they look like they might not make the playoffs, and so they've definitely, there's some positives, of course.
They were like dead last, or if not second to last, when that happened.
Pretty low down there. I believe they were, hovering above like the Ducks, the Sharks. The perennial trash teams in the leagues right now.
I think the Sharks might be able to get the least win percentage of the year. I think the Red Wings hold that record, so hopefully we can get the Sharks to get it.
It's funny. I will say this, though. As much as I am crapping on the Kings, they do beat the Lightning in this last week, or they won as about like, what would that be, 12 days ago. They beat the Lightning not too long ago. They do beat the Canucks in their very next game. Look, hey, I'm just saying, I got to give them some credit. We did.
It was sometime.
You got to show up every day, and they do.
They played a game sometime,
They do play games, but they do beat the Canucks and they do beat the Lightning, two teams that we've well, the Canucks are guaranteed in, and the Lightning are pretty much guaranteed in.
They
Um,
also lost to the Oilers.
they
You
did.
know,
They lose to the Flames, the Jets. I mean, they're on a 3-game losing streak. Um, and
pretty
that
tragic.
goes back to their sliding. But I guess I say all that to say that, I mean, you can't really take a night off in the NHL. I mean, the Canucks, it seems like, have taken a few nights off. When they played the Stars earlier this week, or this past week, they lose 3-1 at home. It was, don't get me wrong, it was a tight game up until I believe it was about the third minute. The Stars score, take a 2-1 lead, and then we do punch in an empty netter. But you're at home, and this is to clinch a playoff berth, and just to drop the ball like that, put up one goal, is that's disappointing for the fans there in Vancouver.
For
And so,
sure.
yeah, man, they can't, and they play a tight game against the Ducks the very next game, and then they lose to the Golden Knights last night. So again, I know you've got your berth as the Canucks, but you got to show up. And the thing is with the playoffs too is you want to be hot going into the playoffs. You don't want to just hope you find it in the 7-game series. So as far as the Canucks, as far as the Kings, boy, those are teams I would like to play in the playoffs. Actually, I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, be
Um,
pretty nice to see. I mean, you guys are coming up against the Oilers tonight, right?
Yep, tonight, Wednesday night on the 3rd. It'll be a good game. The Stars, of course, have clinched their playoff berth, and the Oilers are fighting to clinch it. And you might see a little bit of rest going on there, but I wouldn't expect to see this game go all Oilers. We are back at home finally. There's going to be a good raucous crowd there. So, I mean, I would see the Stars winning that game, honestly. It could be tight, tighter than I would prefer, but I could see them winning like a 4-3 game. I'm not sure if Wedgwood's going to be in the net tonight. I probably should have done a little more research on that. But
Nice, dude.
no, I do expect the Stars to pull that one out.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the Lightning play the Leafs tonight as well, which will be an interesting matchup just for some sort of playoff indications. You know, just seeing who's the better team and who can get the upper hand and whatnot. So, um, yeah,
do
be a
you want
pretty
to
nice
give
one.
us your predictions for all this week's games for the Red Wings?
Yeah, so like I said, we're coming up on, I believe it's Friday, we play the Rangers. I'm not gonna lie, we are kind of hot in the last two games, but I don't see us winning. We'll probably give them a decent game, but we'll probably just lose to the Rangers. So far, they have us beat 2-0 as far as the game. We have three games to play against them, and they've won both of them so far. So, um, yeah, I expect to lose, but on Sunday we play the Sabres, and on Tuesday we play the Capitals, and I'm expecting to win those two games. So, um, at least for the playoff indication, that would definitely make sure that, you know, we have a solid lead on the Capitals. Because if I'm not mistaken, we beat the Capitals like three times. I don't know how many times we played, but let me just take a quick gander. Um, because that was one of the games we like blew them out. Yeah, we beat them 3-8 on
Sheesh.
in February. Yeah, and then they came back and beat us in overtime, which we still get the point. But I expect this game to be a lot better, at least on our part, and hopefully we'll just keep them down. Make sure that they're not gonna, if they are gonna take the third spot, you know, then that's fine. But you know,
Yeah, I mean
just
that's
as
gonna
long
be
as we make the playoffs.
sure. That's gonna be a huge game, man. I'll definitely be
Yeah,
tuning in for that one. As far as what the Stars
April
have,
9th, if anybody's looking to watch it.
yes, sir. To follow up, I'll do my weekly predictions. I mentioned Stars versus Oilers, and I predicted the Stars winning a tight game. Saturday, we'll go ahead and travel to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. I will say we win that game. We should win that game.
No, dude.
Uh,
You guys are gonna lose to one of the worst teams in the NHL just
it's
cause.
possible, man. But we'll see Connor Bedard there, so that'll be a good one. Then Sunday, the very next night, we travel to Colorado to take on the Avalanche. That one, I don't predict victory there. Just it's a back-to-back. And both teams are in the postseason. I think the Stars will be resting a little bit, just trying to make sure you go into it healthy. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and then next Tuesday, April 9th, the same night of the Red Wings game, we take on the Sabres. And that one will be back in Dallas. I have an odd feeling that'll be closer than I want as well. I'll say we win it. Uh, I'll say we win it 4-3. That's the second game in a row, or I'm sorry, second game during this span that I've predicted 4-3. But I always see the Stars scoring goals, and I'll say Buffalo.
I expect that game's gonna be like 3-1, dude. I don't expect the Sabres to do anything.
More than anything, I feel like it's players on that team that they have their own pride. They're not just gonna give in. And some might be
Sure.
playing for contracts, so I'll say they try to show.
I mean,
up
they are
for-
still technically in the playoff picture, I think.
They are
They're
five
not
games
technically
behind you,
out.
and they have played. Sorry, 5 points behind you, and they've played one more game. So they are very close to being completely eliminated. That is,
Yeah,
they
dude.
need a
I mean,
lot
if they
to
win,
happen.
if they beat the Stars, I mean, maybe that could be.
They would still need. They need to go. They need to win every one of their games. That'd be 12 points. They need you to not. They can't afford the Capitals or the Red Wings to win that game. They need a tie between y'all. They need a lot. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, either way, contract players will definitely want to be showing up for sure.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I don't know. It's always going to be that last year, so who knows how many people they've got on the last year of their contract, or at least looking to move around.
Well, that and they
So-
may have people on contract that they're on the third line and they're trying to prove they deserve to be moved up to the second line, or trying to prove that
They're
they
probably
shouldn't be
trash,
traded
though.
at any point. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
And I think hockey players have like a good sense of pride about them where that, like I said, any night in the NHL, man, there's going to be a team that you expect to lose that goes on and wins. And so, I mean, there's always that puncher's chance. I'll give them, some chance there.
Yeah. And I wonder if the Oilers have a chance to clinch if they beat y'all tonight, because they're pretty up in the standings, and they're still not clinched. So it's an interesting thing to.
Oilers 95
See.
points, 73 games played. So
They still have 2 games behind the other 2 teams in that division.
yeah. I mean, the
And 95
Kings.
points still.
The Kings could technically surpass them, and of course the Knights can, because the Kings are 8 points behind them. The Kings have 8 games to play, so I don't think they'll for sure clinch it, but it would go a long way as to doing so. But yeah, man, we got a good review of what's happening in the league. We talked some records to. Nah, they're not going to be broken, but some attempts at it and some league leaders. You got anything else you'd like to add?
I think that should wrap up, and just catch us next week. We'll
Yep.
bring you another episode.
Absolutely. Y'all take care. Peace out.